Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks and the final day of this year's Black Market or Jason Special Offers is here and there's no pressure. All there is a decision I guess you have to make in the next 13 hours on the European server and then on the NA server and the Asia server later. You will have a choice to purchase a freight package of which there are possible rewards. You can either get yourself the White Dragon, the Forest Spirit, the Alembic, the IS-3A Peregrine, the Mars, or the Stone Sentinel. Now, interestingly enough, two of these vehicles are completely new. Well, when I say new, they're new as in they're available, but they're still clones of other tanks. This is the Kampfpanzer, this is the Su-130 PM, this is the Astron Rex, this is the IS-3A, this is the Progetto, and this is the Basonte. The rules say that you will not receive a vehicle that you already own, but this is still a roll of the dice. So what I'm going to do in today's video is let you know, should you effectively gamble a 1 in 6 chance to be able to get one of these vehicles and which one is the best. And then I'm going to effectively flip a coin with 7,500 gold on my main account and see which one I'm going to get. Before I discuss these tanks statistically, let me show you what they look like, especially the two new vehicles. So, wow, what is this? Is that some kind of like monkey claw on the front of the vehicle? Ah, isn't this like a Qilin? Or am I making my mistake? Or is it just a crested dragon? Definitely mythical Chinese origins here with clouds. Yeah, I have to admit, this is a very cool looking tank. Very, very cool looking tank with some great details all the way through. I love the look of the gold on the black. It's always just such a classic combo inside World of Tanks, but to have kind of like these jade flecks going through as well, that does look pretty awesome. Forest Spirit wise, this is a vehicle that I already have. It's got a lovely glow of the green, some runics here on as well. It's meant to be, I guess, you know, a forest spirit with some lovely tree growth. This was available last year, I believe, for the very first time in, I think it was the St. Patrick's Day loot boxes. Next, the Alembic. This one's actually really cool. It's kind of like an alchemist's cauldron, and it actually has unique sounds. This vehicle has a different loading sound, a different firing sound, I believe, or at least a different driving sound where it's going round. And I think when you fire it, it sounds as if the vehicle has a load of conical flasks or some measuring cylinders inside. It also has a pretty cool dial on the back that's actually pretty good resolution here. Looks to be a pressure valve. Is that kilograms per centimeter cubed? All in all, I think this is a really cool looking skin. Next, the IS-3A Peregrine. This vehicle was available for the very first time with free experience, and I believe it's probably one of the best deals in World of Tanks history because I think you could get it for something like 150,000. So the fact now that you have to gamble to be able to get it for 7,500 gold, it's not great. Again, simple. Gold on black, has a Peregrine Falcon on it, hence its name. I'd say it's probably one of the more, for me at least, the disappointing looking styles. But then again, I think it's going to be everybody's taste. And let me clarify, these are tanks, not styles. They're clone tanks. Next up, the Mars. This vehicle is, well, I guess if you want to pay Wargaming 7,500 gold to have a chance of getting abs, this will be a lot easier than probably trying to get them IRL. I think this Roman Legion style, especially with the cape, the cloak that drapes over the back, and the crest on the helmet, it does look pretty awesome. I think this is a great looking tank, and I'd rather play this one than play in the Progetto. And finally, the brand new Stone Sentinel. Wow, yeah, this one looks cool as well. It looks like it does have some just dust that just drops off the front. Not sure if that's going to re-happen or if that's something that when we only just saw it load for the first time. The trees are growing through the stumps there. Can't see any more sand falling off the front. Has some glowing runes on the front as well. They're just shimmering away there. Maybe not so much runes. Maybe I'm thinking a bit too much of the Forest Sentinel. It almost looks as if they're lines that the wind has drawn through gusts on this vehicle. I think it's a cool looking style. I think it's meant to highlight that the Basonte is just an absolute beast if you do get it into a hold down position until they've got a really big pen. I do like this style. It's a cool looking one for sure. But I do feel like the Kampfpanzer style of the new ones, the White Dragon style, I don't know, man. I feel like this one wins for me against the Stone Sentinel. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Out of the all of them, and also the 2 new ones, which is your favorite? So now let me give some little reviews of these vehicles to try and give you an overall idea of how good the pot is, and then you can kind of exclude vehicles that you already have, I guess. So the White Dragon, aka the Kampfpanzer, I really like this tank. It's got really good DPM. It's really fast. It's aggressive. It's good in a hold down position. This is also good in front line as well. Definitely one of the better vehicles in front line because of the fabulous HE rounds that can really rip apart those slow, well, not slow, but fast but lightly armored tanks. I really like this vehicle. I'd give it kind of like an A, where the top tier would be S. I think it's a good tank. It's not going to be everybody's taste, but this one is just really nice for just YOLOing and trying to get a load of credits. And after all, that's probably why you're playing your premium tanks. SG-130 PM, it's not my personal favorite. I don't really enjoy glass cannon tank destroyers, but this one is very flexible. I'd say all in all, it's probably better than a Scorpion because of that better alpha damage, that better top speed, and also it's way more sneaky with much superior camo rating. But the sacrifices that you have to make is you don't have a fully traversable turret, and the gun does feel a lot more whiffy. I'd still give this vehicle like an A or a B tier out of S being on top. Next up, the Alembeck. I really like this tank. It feels a lot like a Char Future 4 down at tier 8, and I'd go as far as to say it's probably one of the best premium medium tanks in the game. It has this fabulous combination of actually pretty troll armor if you get in front of your opponents. Sure, big weak point, but if you go like this and are going left and right, it'll really confuse them. The upper hull is decent as well when you're using your gun depression. And add to that a nice big mag, 1,600 damage, that albeit you're going to take 16 seconds to deal. Combo this with pretty good camo rating, pretty good mobility, and amazing reverse speed of 30. So you can go faster backwards than some tank can go forwards. And then also fairly good gun handling because it's got a 4-second intra-clip reload and decent aim time. Don't use vert stabs on this tank. Improve the accuracy instead, so you can still be some kind of like faux sniper. This is a very strong tank, and I would give it an S tier. Next up, the IS-38. This thing's just real simple. You just hold down your W key and hold down your mouse until the job is done. And that's because it has an inverse auto reloader where it actually starts reloading quicker the less shells that you have in the vehicle. When you're empty, it takes 12 seconds to reload. When you've got 2 shells, it takes 18 seconds to reload. And so it does encourage you to take those chancy shots and just fire if you can. It's always the right decision to fire if you can. And very, very, very rarely, if you've got like about 3 to 5 seconds left of the reload, maybe you might want to wait to get that shell in to then dump. But remember, you've got that 3 seconds intra clip, so more often than not, you just fire and just get reloading that next shell again. I'd give this vehicle either a B or a C grade. There are just better heavies that you can get, like a Skoda T56, for example, or the Project Ion now, as it's a clone. It's a solid tank, but it's not competitive, should we say, at the top tier for premiums. Next up, the Mars. I really like the Progetto. It's definitely showing its age, but if you're somebody who knows how to use an auto reloader, this one can be tremendous fun. I always feel like I have a chance against my opponents, you know, with its decent DPM and being able to quickly store up shells and unload them. It's a beaut, and this is one of the best vehicles for frontline as well. Maybe the best medium for frontline, because it just provides you with so much flexibility. You can store up that damage and deliver 720 in 4 seconds. Not quite as quick as the Borask, but then you don't have to reload for 20 seconds to deliver another shell, unlike the Borask does. The only problem with this vehicle is it's slightly large, doesn't have the best camo, and it has a really easy armor layout to shoot, so it's very juicy within that regard. But you don't have to worry about HE shells from the front like a Borask does. It's a good tank. I'd definitely give it an A or a B tier for me personally. And I'd also just like to make a comment that it was just 2 years ago when this vehicle was released that it was 25,000 gold. Now, in theory, you have, I guess, at best a 1 in 3 chance if you don't have the vehicle, because there are 2 other new tanks, of getting this vehicle for 7,500 gold. And that's definitely a good deal. Definitely a good deal within any regard. Next up, the Basonte, aka the Stone Sentinel. Again, I really like this tank, although some people will have a big issue with the accuracy of this tank and the gun handling of this tank. But for me, this thing gets on a ridgeline. It has tremendous armor, especially inside a good matchup. This thing's armor is tremendous from the front, and it's not even that bad from the side on the turret. So you can re-engage, especially in good matchups here, as long as you don't overturn the turret like that. This thing's an absolute bully, and I love controlling the situation with this vehicle, firing a single shot and whittling down my opponents, then finishing them off with dealing 1,080 damage in 6 seconds, which they don't expect. The only problem with this tank is players who are impatient will really suffer, because the reload gets longer and longer the deeper you go into the mag, and your DPM becomes so bad that it can be hard to play catch up. But I really like this tank. For me, I would give this vehicle more like an A tier, but for a lot of people, it's going to be a B tier. And if you aren't patient and you don't know how to play with bad gun handling, it might even be lower than that. So all in all, we have like an A tier, like a B tier, we have an S tier, we have like a B or a C tier, we have a B tier, and probably a B tier here. Or actually, for me, the Mars is more like an A tier. So I'd say, all in all, there aren't any stinkers from these 6 tanks. And so that means, do I think that somebody who doesn't have any of these vehicles should spend 7,500 gold to get one? I actually do. I do. And the reason is that unless Wargaming have changed the gold price, of which it doesn't look like they have, the Sentinel's worth 10k, the Mars is worth 10k, the IS-3A is worth 11k, the Alembec's worth nearly 10k, the SU's worth nearly 10k. The only one that's kind of bad to get would be the White Dragon, because it's worth 8,000 gold. So even if you find that you don't get the one that you like, you'll still get 5,000 gold worth if these vehicles are going to be available in the trade-in. So you're spending 7,500 gold to get a very rare tank that, in theory, you could, unless you get the White Dragon, then trade in to get something else and lose 2,500 gold effectively. But I think it would be worth it. Again, considering all of these tiers, and they're all pretty good vehicles, I think it's worth 7,500 gold. I'm quite surprised that they've got these 2 new vehicles in that could very much easily go for 15 to maybe 25,000 gold as a collector, to now have the opportunity to pick one of them up for 7,500. Whew! Yeah, my gold balance was sweating, considering I also had to get the golden WTLV 100. Okay, so now I want to make a comment on the fact that Wargaming are just putting clones and clones and clones and clones and clones in. Wargaming, what are you doing? You have a style reason. You have a style system for a reason. We don't need these clones. It's really lazy content. There would be nothing stopping Wargaming, for example, to, instead of just pumping in these clones into the game, to just have an epic style for my Progetto. I've already got a 3D style, sure, but why is the Mars just not a 3D style? If you want to charge us like 5,000 gold, Wargaming, just do it. If that's what you really feel the price is for a 3D style. The fact that they're just cloning a tank and then originally charging 25,000 gold for a style on this vehicle is just bizarre. It also makes the naming system really convoluted for players to be able to learn all of the different names of the tanks and their capabilities. But I can imagine that's confusing for a new player, that not only do they have to learn what kind of like an Astron Rex is and all of the nuances and how complicated it is, how many shells it has, how much alpha damage it has, can it manage to clip me out with its intra-clip reload, they also now have to think that I've got to remember the name of the Alembic as well, which is the same as the Astron Rex. So it makes the game really convoluted from that system as well. I guess the only upside to this is that you do have multiple vehicles to get your marks of excellence, you do have multiple vehicles to get your ace tankers, and you do have multiple vehicles to be able to play in front line, as long as you have multiple crews for those tanks. But is that justification for them to literally clone tanks? In my opinion, there's no difference to them having should we say, removing or bypassing the ability to be able to play a tank multiple times, even if it's locked in battle. Now, that would be really problematic for vehicles like an EBR 105, because some people play the EBR 105 really badly, and I really think that they should have to not be able to play their EBR for at least 5 minutes if they've died in the first 30 seconds of the battle. But, you know, it's just a gigantic web of problems that Wargaming clearly could very much just put styles in, but they choose that they want to be able to milk us. But the main reason why this is pretty brutal is because now not only do you have to collect an Astron Rex, if you're a tank collector, you have to collect an Alembic as well. So some of you out there are probably saying, well, you don't have to. Sure, but imagine that there are loot boxes that come out, and this happened a lot last year. In fact, we had the Forest Spirit and the Alembic in the loot boxes last year. So when new tanks come out that you want, if you don't have these clones, then you have to possibly spend $50 to buy 50 boxes to be able to get the clone before you can get the tank that you want, which is just, it's just so lazy. And I would have no problem with Wargaming putting in these clone tanks if, I guess, they made a statement saying they will not be fillers inside loot boxes, because that's clearly what they're doing. When they release new content for the loot boxes, it's too much effort for them to make 2 new tanks. So they make 1 new tank, and then they reclone a vehicle to be able to force people to have to spend $100 to be able to get the new tank that they want, rather than $50. So with all of that said and done, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet my fate. Do you know what? This is going to be the very first time in World of Tanks that there was no opportunity for me to be able to get all of the vehicles in the game, which is a little bit sad. I can't buy multiple lots. I don't think I can buy multiple lots. I think I'm only going to buy, it can only be opened once. So this is the very first time, I think, in World of Tanks history that there will be no way for me to guarantee myself to get all of the new tanks. You know what? That actually really irritates me as a tank collector. Wargaming, I know these are their clones, but there's no way for me to be able to get all of the tanks. So Wargaming have almost kind of screwed themselves over in a way, because they're alienating their tank collectors as well. I'm sure that there'll be other collectors out there who are going to be annoyed about this, and I guess Wargaming will just we'll have to wait and see to be able to how these vehicles are going to be available in the future. So stop for a second and write in the comments which vehicle do you think that Uncle QuickyBaby is going to get, because here we go. This is the moment of truth. Is it going to be the White Dragon, or is it going to be the Stone Sentinel? Ah, it's the White Dragon. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm probably more like famous for my Basante play rather than my Kampfpanzer play. But I'm happy. I got the White Dragon. I think that was the one that I wanted. So yeah, I guess I'm lucky within that regard. So yeah, we're gonna take the fight to the enemy team. I'm sure this vehicle will do very well on the Chinese server. And you know what? Having multiple Kampfpanzers for frontline, it will be useful. I actually do run multiple crews in my Progetto and my Mars. Am I going to run multiple crews in my Kampfpanzer? How many tanks am I going to be locked out in the same time, right? So ladies and gents, boys and girls, all in all, what do I think about this deal, the freight today? I honestly think it's worth it. 7,500 gold is a good price for all of these vehicles. I guess the only thing that you've got to decide is, do they all look okay to you? Or is there 1 or 2 out of the 6 that you could get that you actually don't really like and won't match your play style? So that's it for today, ladies and gents. Really hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful for you. If it was, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below what you think about this final black market. Do you think it's cool that everybody gets a chance to get a vehicle for 7,500 gold? Let me clarify, this is a lot less generous than Wargaming's last key event, where they gave us seriously rare tanks, and I think that you could even pick the rare tank that you wanted for the 5,000 gold. So there's been some inflation in the last few years. Also, can we take a moment to say rest in peace for Uncle QuickyBaby and how it's making me look like an absolute 5-head, like I truly am here, for the way that the the dragon's torso extends my forehead there. And if you're watching this video as it goes live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm really proud to announce there's going to be a tech tree showcase later today of the Waffenträger Alfie 100. So come along as we see what the ultimate autoloader line is, and I'm going to be able to show it to you, at least because I got 100,000 gold, and don't worry, I'll be playing some Grilla too. So let's make the Grilla great again and smash through some games today. And I've also got lots of drops, so come and grab some styles as well just for watching the stream. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.